No issues whatsoever. I'm reasonably certain.
If you jinx that, I'm gonna be laughing.
Yeah.
I would say. Anyway, we're live with another episode of BS Busters. Thank you for joining us. I would say, check the Twitter, but now that Elon Musk is in the process of buying Twitter, I said, fuck it, I'm done. Um,
Uh,
you know, and I know what some
yeah.
people are going to say. They're going to say, well, you don't like rich a-holes buying things that you love. You're right. But I'm also a hypocrite because Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, but I was reading the Washington Post before Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post. And aside from their fortuitous lack of hard investigative journalism for Amazon's ill treatment of their workers, they still do some pretty good journalism. Whereas Twitter, Twitter was actually. No, go ahead.
It's a wild card. I'm just gonna say it now because, well, if anything, it's like trying to monitor. It's trying to monitor an entire chat room, and I don't think that they could do it. Then again, look at how Facebook does it.
Well, I mean, like Twitter actually had a turn for the better when they started banning people who were saying blatantly false shit. Like, hey, if you want to cure COVID, inject yourself with bleach. It's like, come on, man. you know, which is better than what Facebook was doing, which was absolutely fucking nothing. But now that Elon Musk has bought it, it's probably going to turn back into the dumpster fire that it was before. So I said, you know what? Wash my hands of it. So now I have to find a new way in order to get the word out about the cast. But that's neither here nor there. We're live with another episode of BS Busters, and I'm joined by the usual suspects. Go ahead. Introduce yourself first, lady, then gentleman, and then myself, and then I'll get into what these topics are going to be for tonight.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the BS Busters Week Podcast. I am Joe Wright, Elon Star, and to go off what he said earlier, I may look at Twitter at times, but if anything, I'm just gonna watch the popcorn. I'm just gonna watch the fire burn with popcorn in hand. See how this ends up.
That's Kanashi Obama Nita saying Twitter was a cesspool before Elon Musk took over. And it'll probably still be the same after.
I think it was getting a little bit better because there was a lot less
Crash.
Like for the last 2 years, it had been getting a little bit better. And then, but if Elon Musk takes over and he's like, "Oh, it's going to be freedom of speech," it's like you don't understand. You must not understand how freedom of speech works. Freedom of speech means that if you say something that is patently false or stupid, you're not going to go to jail for it. But
people have the right to call you out on it.
But that doesn't absolve you from private institutions saying that's just fucking stupid. Get out of here. If you, let's say, okay, if you're some white guy from the South and you work for a big huge corporation and you go on Twitter and you go on a profanity laden Twitter raid using racial slurs, don't be surprised you will not have a job once that gets back to your company. And I don't want to hear you say, well, it's my freedom of speech. No, you didn't go to jail for what you did. That doesn't mean the company has should just ignore what you said.
Yeah. In short, you may be able to speak something, but others have the right to respond to that speech.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. But I'm leaving because I'm like, I can't deal with that. I'm not gonna deal with that shit. I don't want to be a part of it. I'm one of those people that if I find out something that I was a part of or that I used to be a part of turns out to be like horrific, I will drop that shit like a hot potato. And never turn back around. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. Let's get into it. So we have some good topics for tonight. We've got summer games we're looking forward to and why. We've got hot takes on movies. Great PS1 RPGs that are not Final Fantasy. And terrible foods we ate as kids that we look back on and say, hell no to. And we'll finish it up with our unpopular opinions. So, who wants to go first?
Well, if anything, we're supposed to be looking at some games that are coming up soon, right?
Yeah.
So, if anything, I'm checking out what's on the menu. At least something that might catch my eye. So,
Alright.
so right now I'm not seeing much. So, what do you guys have to look forward to?
I mean, there's Saints Row, the reboot. I'm looking forward to. Ironically, even though the rollout was a mess, I'm actually kind of interested in the Sonic Origins game.
Even with how it rolled out.
I mean, I said, like, I added the caveat before I said that I was looking forward to it. The rollout was a mess, but I still am interested. I mean, because they've rebuilt these games from the ground up. Like, it's not just a port of the old shit. Like, they've added new stuff. There's new content. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I never was a huge Sega fan, so this is a big deal for me.
Well, not to mention it's being worked on by a lot of the people that worked on the
Sonic Mania
mods and Sonic Mania and stuff like that. So it should be pretty decent.
Yeah. So I mean, that's something to look forward to. I mean, there's friggin' Xenoblade 3. That's coming out in July? July 29th? Something like that. I mean, there's some good stuff to look forward to. Now, I'll tell you one game I don't really care about, Splatoon 3, but not for the reasons people might think. No, well, I mean, like, when Splatoon 2 came out, I was really hyped up about it. And then I realized that for me, and this is just for me, I can't speak for other people. For me, the real thing that made the original Splatoon great for me were the controls. And controlling Splatoon 2 with a Pro controller just doesn't feel as good to me. Or a Joy-Con, the Joy-Con controller doesn't feel as good as me as with the gamepad. So, with the Wii U gamepad. So for me, like that, even though like in all other respects, Splatoon 2 is a much better is a great sequel. Is a better game than the first Splatoon. Like, it has a better single player. The multiplayer has more modes. Like, it's more complete. But like, trying to get my brain to go past like how so many of the weapons were nerfed because you didn't have a gamepad there to use these special abilities, just kind of.
That's the painful thing that people are gonna always gonna hate about the first Splatoon.
Yeah, I can't get over that hump. I'm like, because on paper, everything that I wanted in the first Splatoon, they have in the second Splatoon. A beefier single player, more modes in the multiplayer. It's great, but that control scheme just kind of drags it down for me. But some people, that doesn't bother them, and they can deal with it. So, it's a personal thing.
Because that's the thing that's getting me, because I'm able to adjust to controls, whether it be from the Wii U to the N64 to even the Wii and PlayStations.
Well, for me, there's certain games that play better with certain controls. Like Mario 64, to me, doesn't, at least to me, Mario 64 doesn't play well if I'm not playing with an N64 controller. Like, because I remember when they put Mario 64 on the Wii, on the Virtual Console, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right without an N64 controller.
I was gonna make the joke that that I thought you'd say Mario DS doesn't feel right with the control scheme it had.
No, it does not. No, it does not. They did the best they could with the DS, with the stylus, and it's like, this is because Mario 64 was made for the N64 controller, and if you play Mario 64, like, you would have had to have been of that age group to play that game when it came out. But I was in that age group, so for me to play that without the N64 controller just doesn't feel right. It's kind of like if you're in the age group where a certain historic, like Jurassic Park. The first time I saw Jurassic Park, I saw it in the movie theater with Dolby 5.1 surround sound. And watching the first Jurassic Park in the way it was meant to be seen in IMAX with 5.1 Dolby surround sound, and then watching it on in my home theater on a big screen in your house, yeah, it's good, but it's just not the way it's really meant to be seen.
It's not the same feeling, right?
Exactly. So for me, like Splatoon 2 on paper has all of this extra content and modes that I'm like, this is great, but man, the way it feels while you're playing it just does not feel as good to me. But, you know, everyone can deal with things differently. You know, PlayStation, it's a little bit different because Sony hasn't really changed their controller substantially in ages. Like the biggest innovation that Sony did was they went from the original DualShock to the one that had the two analog joysticks. That was the big jump. And like every other PlayStation controller has just been a more advanced version of that, basically. So, I mean, that's not a big deal to me. Like, I'm not impressed. Like, it's like once you know how to use one DualShock joypad that has the two analog sticks, you can use any other PlayStation joystick because they're functionally the same, yeah. Nintendo's a little bit different because almost every freaking generation they change their controllers.
Which can be good or bad depending on the preference.
Well, it depends on what type of games you're playing. Like, I'm gonna say something that's gonna make some people angry. I think that Nintendo's D-pad game kind of went downhill once they went to the 5th gen. Because the D-pad on the N64 was trash. But you weren't using the D-pad, you were using the analog control stick. The D-pad on the GameCube was trash. Even though, like, aside from the trash D-pad, the GameCube's one of the best controllers they ever made. And I know people are going to be like, why are you saying that? I'm not saying...
I was about to say, huh?
Yeah, in my opinion, the GameCube's one of the best controllers Nintendo ever made because the GameCube, you can use the GameCube in a lot of different games. Like, you can use a GameCube controller in a racing game, you can use it in a fighting game, you can use it in an RPG, you can use it in a beat 'em up. It has enough buttons and enough triggers and enough, like, GIMP features in it that you can use it in a lot of different genre of games. Like the N64 was really good for 3D platformers and kart racers, but if you went to 2D games, the N64 kind of sucked as a controller. So it's like it wasn't a good catch-all for everything. But yeah, that's kind of like you know, like the GameCube's is still one of my favorite controllers. Like I have a USB GameCube controller that I basically sometimes I plug that thing in, I'll play video games with it, and it still feels really good to play games with the GameCube controller, especially fighting games. Like I hooked it up and I played Soul Calibur. I played Soul Calibur 6 with my GameCube controller, and it's like I felt like I was playing Soul Calibur 2 again.
Weird, but cool.
A good controller is like it's so key. It's so key. And if I was talking about controllers, this would segue into the Joy-Con issues were worse than we thought, but I'm not covering that. But we're talking about summer games we're looking forward to. So, are there any others? I mean, I know Jewel said there was nothing she was looking forward to. Anything you're looking forward to?
Actually, I am looking forward to some things. It's just I had time trying to find them.
Oh, okay. Okay,
And
go ahead.
for me-
What are you looking forward
For
to?
me, I got a few, which would be starting from the most distant, which would be Splatoon 3,
All right.
and next closest would be Live Alive.
Ah, damn! I'm looking forward to that too. I don't know why I didn't mention that.
The next one might be a little weird, but then again, I'm not sure how you take it. Capcom Fighting Collection,
Okay.
Strikers Battle League,
Yeah,
and Cow.
I am kind of looking forward to that, but I want to see more before I get all hyped up on it.
Yeah. And as I said, the last one would be Cow the Kangaroo. Because I'm actually curious of what the heck is this? Or ever how it plays. So, what about you, Kanosh?
This Sonic Mania, or not Sonic Mania, but Sonic Origin and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Hey, let's see. Live Alive looks interesting. Or Live Alive looks interesting. That's about it.
I mean, the game I'm really looking forward to, but I don't think it's going to come out this year, is Dragon Quest 3 in HD 2D. That's what I'm really looking forward to, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if that's coming out this year. Is what I'm saying. I want it to come out this year, but you know, but yeah, I mean, there's some good stuff coming out this year. I don't want to get everything. Like a lot of the third party stuff is hitting other platforms, but like I want all these games to do well. Like I don't want anything to flop unless it's like egregiously anti-consumer.
I was gonna say that Chocobo GP was probably one of those that I flipped from wanting to play to absolutely hoping that flops.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that too until I found out that Square Enix sold you a $50 almost premium game, and then on top of that had aggressive mobile game microtransactions on top of that. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I
just some
mean,
bullshit.
it's we already have that kind of mess with Crash Team Racing in a sense.
Yeah.
I say in a sense because some people actually will say that it's at least better to a degree. Though I don't see how.
What Crash Team Racing?
Yeah, the new one.
I mean, I mean, the problem with Crash Team, well, the good thing about Crash Team Racing is that you can still earn a lot of the basic stuff in that game just through just playing the game. Like, like I think from what I heard from like the statistics and the currency rates and stuff like that, it's more grindy for Chocobo Team Racing, not Chocobo Racing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, it's Square Enix. Square Enix has had a lot of flops this year, and the year is not even halfway done.
and the only thing that they could fall back on with all that mess is Final Fantasy 14.
Well, I mean, there's other stuff they can fall back on, but I mean,
As in majorly.
there's Kingdom Hearts, there's Final Fantasy, not the MMO, the mainline games. There's Final Fantasy 14.
Okay. think we covered plenty. I think, but not sure.
There's one big summer game that's coming out this summer that we didn't mention. Destroy All Humans 2.
I was about to say, I thought you'd be the one to mention that.
Well, I just remembered it because, like THQ Nordic announced it last year,
Yeah,
and then they didn't say anything about it. And I'm like, I'm
yeah,
really looking forward to that
thing is-
game because
The thing is, I remember that you're a fan of Destroy All Humans. And I thought you wouldn't miss the second one. So yeah.
but that's me. Anyway, Kenoshi,
Anything more?
anything for you?
What's the question?
Said,
games
are
from
there
summer
any
you
other
ready
games this
for?
summer that you're
Oh,
looking
yeah,
forward
any
to
other.
playing
Okay.
that are coming out this
None
summer?
that come off the top of my head.
All right. Okay, so I guess we can move on to the next topic, which is let's see. Let me look right here. Let me see where the other topic is. Hot takes on movies. So, summer movie theater season is almost upon us. Next week we have Doctor Strange and the something of madness. I forgot the name of it already.
And the Dimension of Madness.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
Dimension of Madness. Well, here, let me look this up because I don't want to get it wrong. Because then people are like, you don't know.
That's what I think it is.
Doctor
So-
Strange. I want to say in the Mouth of Madness, but that's not what it's. In the Multiverse of Madness, that's what it's called.
I was close.
Yeah. So Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I'm looking forward to it. I want it to be good.
If anything, I'm just going to say this right now. Trying to deal with multiverse stories is already a complicated mess, so be ready for your brain to have a headache if you don't follow most of the movies that link up to it.
Well, the thing is that I really do think that they're doing a pretty good job thus far of like Marvel has done a pretty good job of having the multiverse thus far. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I mean the best you could hope for under the circumstances, if you get what I'm saying.
I was gonna make this the line that I saw how they treated time travel, and that was a bit of a chaotic mess.
Still better than what you get in a lot of other films, except for Back to the Future. That's still pretty good. It's like Marty, if your mother falls in love with you and tries to jump your bones, you'll cease to exist, Marty. You'll cease to exist. There's no there's two frames of thought in
Back to the Future.
No, in time travel. There's Back to the
Oh.
Future where one major thing can undo everything, and then there's or create cleft points like alternate timelines, or there's the Futurama there's the Futurama school of thought with timelines, which is basically time has a certain way it wants to go, and even if minor variations happen, eventually it'll fall in a certain way. Damn the consequences. Hence, Fry is his own grandfather.
Yeah.
Which is weird as F.
He fucked his grandmother. like his nephew Dr. Forget the guy's name. Dr. Farnsworth is like, you sick monkey! You slept with your she's not my grandmother. And like after he did it, she's like, like she's looking more grandmotherly as time goes on because he finds out that the guy he thought was his grandfather is totally gay. So apparently, inevitably, he was always going to be his own grandfather.
So it's okay.
I must have missed that episode.
Yeah, it's
that's
the episode.
Still pretty funny.
That's the weirdest time travel episode you ever see.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of time travel in Futurama, but that one was kind of like, if you guys ever get a chance, go watch Futurama. It's kind of funny. Actually, it's not kind of funny. It's really funny. It's really fucking funny.
I was trying to not laugh hard because I remember it, though it confuses the oven living stars out of me a little bit.
Well, the thing is,
they're thinking about bringing it back. I'm just kind of like, leave it alone. I mean, I honestly think certain shows should only, especially like comedy shows, should just end when they're supposed to end. I feel like
that.
Normally, I would agree with you, but if you can get most of the original cast and most of the original showrunners behind it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like if someone said right now, we've got Paul Dini, we've got we've got most of the original team from Batman the Animated Series. We're gonna bring it back. I'd be okay with that because Kevin Conroy's still alive. The only guy who's not still alive is the guy who voiced Mr. Freeze. He finally died, but. I mean, everything else, I'll deal with it. I'm okay. I'm all right with them bringing back certain things. It's just you have to have the original people, and people have to have good ideas behind it.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to have good ideas and a strong cast behind them.
Yeah, if you have the original cast and you have good ideas, I'm okay with it. Like, if they can bring back Futurama, and they, originally they weren't going to get Paul, whatever his name is, Paul DiMaggio, who plays Bender, because apparently he's so expensive, but apparently they worked out his contract, so they're going to give him his money. So, all the original voice actors are coming back. The original creative people are on board. And the way Futurama ended, it totally had a backdoor for them to continue having adventures.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that because, that world is so awesome. Like the Robot Devil.
Yes.
Like, remember the Robot Devil, the Robot Hell song?
Oh, yeah. And I remember the reason why I laughed so hard at that episode. It's because I remembered I remembered the game Chrono Trigger when watching that episode. Oh, God, that really screwed me over.
Okay. Anyway,
you get what I'm saying, right?
I don't see the correlation between Chrono Trigger and
as in
Robot Hell.
I took my thoughts of Chrono Trigger into the episode where Fry became his own grandfather.
Yeah, but what does it have to do with Chrono Trigger?
As in Chrono Trigger is the one that gave me the rules of sorts of being careful of time travel, and then I saw what they did with time travel in Futurama, which kind of made me wonder, what the holy heaven?
Yeah, but Chrono Trigger has a pretty dualistic binary viewpoint of altering time. Like if you do this one thing, everything else changes from this point, which is kind of. I mean, look, it's a 16-bit SNES game. They clearly couldn't go really in depth into altering time. I would say the best game for altering timelines and stuff like that is Radiant Historia. Because Radiant Historia does a more nuanced viewpoint of altering timelines. Because basically there's two Radiant Historia has 3 timelines, but there's 2 major ones that you start the game in. And you can do everything right, jumping from the A and B timelines, and still wind up with a crap ending. Because the real perfect history is you have to do everything perfectly and alter all these other events in order to get the best ending. Which is wow, that's actually pretty cool. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, are there any other movies people are looking forward to coming out this year?
That's the weird thing. I'm not looking too forward, but I'm at least saying that I think that we have some good movies coming up. But one got, but as far as I know, that got delayed, or at least delayed for some weird reason. I'm not sure what.
Okay, Kenoshi, any movies you're looking forward to?
Any what?
Are there any movies you're looking forward to that are coming out this year?
No, I'm not a big, huge movie watcher. Doctor Strange, I'm sure will be interesting. I enjoyed the first one. That movie's pretty trippy. I think it's one of those movies that are probably only worth watching in IMAX 3D. It's one of the movies that actually made sense in 3D. But yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange and the multitudes of madness. Multiverse of Madness. That's about it.
Small list, huh?
Yeah, I don't have a huge list.
Come on.
So no, I don't have
phone?
it. No, that's her phone.
Oh.
I mean, there's some good stuff coming out this year. Let's see, movies coming out this summer. Movies coming out summer 2022. Because I know there's some good stuff coming. Okay, so we've got Jurassic World Dominion. I'm not looking forward to that movie.
Another Jurassic Park movie.
I mean, they brought back Grant and Ian Malcolm and Ellie Sadler, but I'm just like, I would be cool watching these old people who were in the first Jurassic Park who said, "Don't make another Jurassic Park," and no one listened to them. If I just saw them going around saying, "I told you so, don't do this shit," and they did it anyway, and seeing Chris Pratt and all those fucking young people in the new Jurassic Park get ate up by dinosaurs, I'd be cool with it. But it's not going to be that. It's going to be they're going to kill off the old people so the young people can take over the franchise. So I don't really care. Then there's Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Obviously, I'm looking forward to that movie. Thor: Love and Thunder, that's coming out July 8th. Looking forward to that. Nope, that's the new Jordan Peele joint. Which Nope is an acronym for not of planet Earth, or not of planet Earth. So it's black folks versus aliens. So I guess that's cool. Black folks fighting aliens.
Yeah.
You know, which, I mean, really, I think this movie could be a lot shorter if they just... Because really, let's keep it real. If you were dealing with black folks fighting aliens...
That could be entertaining.
Well, no, it wouldn't be entertaining because if black people
it'd be a quick movie.
Yeah, if black people were fighting aliens. Black people, it's like black people in a horror movie. Black people do not. Most black people because I remember when I was in Boy Scouts, you had to force me to go to those things where it would just be me as the only black kid amongst a sea of white Boy Scouts.
I was gonna say horror movie trope.
In the woods, with no electricity, no cell phone reception, nothing. That was very uncomfortable for me.
That's horror movie trope right there, because we all know what happens in certain conditions. The target that stands out the most is going to get popped first. And I could already tell that you wanted to say, F this, S, I'm out.
Basically, yeah. But that's my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree with me when they hear that. But yeah, that's my that's my personal opinion. I know some people are going to be like, but why aren't you looking forward to that? I don't know. I feel that way. But yeah, I don't. The Minions Rise of Gru. Oh God, it's another Illumination film. It's another Illumination film. No.
Excuse me. Please tell me that I did not hear that.
Yeah, it's a sequel to Minions and a prequel to Despicable Me 3.
Oh.
And so this is why Mario got delayed. They got to finish this shit.
Really?
Yeah. So Illumination also, their prized IP is Minions 2. They also did Secret Life of Pets 2 and Sing 2. Actually, I liked Sing 2, which is weird.
Same.
The Grinch and Despicable Me 3 both made about $270 million. So I don't know.
I'm just gonna say this right now. Illumination would be so much more tolerable if we got rid of the Minions.
I mean, the Minions work if they are a minor part of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, get rid of any major star roles that the Minions have.
Like the Minions are like the Rabbids, okay? Like the Rabbids were nice as if they were just like side characters compared to Raymond. But when when Ubisoft tried to make an entire game about the Rabbids, it was kind of stupid. And the problem with
stupid is putting it softly.
I was being charitable. I was being charitable. I was being nice with my aspersion upon that IP. But yeah, Despicable Me. Like I enjoyed the first two Despicable Me movies. Like I liked the first Despicable Me. I like Despicable Me 2. I didn't even know when they made a Despicable Me 3. I know there was Minions, and then a sequel to Minions. Like, you know, though there was Despicable Me 3. Despicable Me 3 is the one where I forget, but I didn't watch it if I don't even remember what it was, because I remember the plot from 1 and 2, but 3 I'm like I don't know anything about that shit. But anyway, I probably saw it. It's just it was so unmemorable that I was like, yeah, I don't care.
I was saying it's so dry.
But then, you know, Pixar is coming out June 17th with Lightyear, and I'm looking forward to Lightyear.
What's that about?
I fully agree.
It's Lightyear is supposed to be like, okay, this is some deep Toy Story lore. Toy Story, as we all know, Andy got the Toy Story toy because he saw the he got the Buzz Lightyear toy because he saw the Buzz Lightyear movie. Lightyear is supposed to be the Buzz Lightyear movie that Andy saw that made him want to get the Buzz Lightyear toy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, because you mentioned Lightyear. I was curious if that was a Toy Story reference.
Yeah, and I saw the trailer for it. I'm like, this looks really fucking good. And Pixar, except for The Good Dinosaur, and Cars 2, and Cars 3. that's a very small, like, of all the movies that Pixar's made, Cars and The Good Dinosaur, like the Cars trilogy and The Good Dinosaur are the weakest movies. Everything else Pixar has done, even though I might not like every movie they did, but everything else they made was pretty good. Well, I won't say they were hits, but I mean, critically, people liked them. Like, a lot of people like Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4. I personally am not a Toy Story fan, like the actual like movies, because I
was gonna say, because you probably got forced to watch one of them over and over.
Yeah. The first Toy Story, when I was in elementary school, my mom had to work, so I stayed in aftercare, and like I would do my homework because like I was in like sometimes I'd have to spend 2.5, 3 hours after school, and my mom like in aftercare, so it only took me like an hour to do my homework because I would do my homework at lunchtime, and then I'd finish it off like after like in aftercare. So it took me like an hour to do my homework. And then by the time that happened, like they had all these activities. Like you could go get your lunch because the lunch ladies also provided like your after school. Well, it was like a meal really. It wasn't even an after school snack. It was like a meal. And then they would show movies and have activities and play games and stuff like that. You could go to the computer lab and play like better computer games. But one of the big things was like they would show movies to the younger kids, and I'm like, well, sometimes they show something good like Aladdin or The Little Mermaid or Hercules, but one freaking movie they showed all the goddamn time, it seemed like at least 2 or 3 times a week, was fucking Toy Story, the first Toy Story. I have seen that movie so many times. If I have to hear Randy Newman's "You've Got a Friend in Me," I'm gonna take a hammer and bash my brain in.
I was about to say, hopefully that will never be someone's ringtone.
No, but like I said, I hate the first Toy Story. I can watch the other films, but the first Toy Story, I hate that fucking movie. Mostly because I watched it so much that I've seen it so much that I just at a certain point I just can't take it anymore. But there's other good Pixar stuff like Up is great. Wall-E. Up and Wall-E are the ones I really like. I'm not a huge Pixar fan, but Lightyear looks like it's going to be interesting, so looking forward to it. Let's see, what else do they have? Here, I'll screen share it so then people can see what the fuck I'm looking at, so they're not like, what the hell are you talking about? Red? So we've got Lightyear, which Chris Evans is doing the voice of Buzz Lightyear, which is cool. Then
I just saw the trailer. That actually looks really good.
I know, no, it looks like some alien Lost in Space shit. Then they've got Top Gun Maverick, which I don't really give a fuck about because Tom Cruise is too goddamn old to be playing these types of roles because he's 50 something at this point. He's too goddamn old to be playing this shit. Then there's a new Downton Abbey, which I don't give a shit about. Black Adam, don't give a shit about. DC's League of Super Pets, don't give a shit about. Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, don't really give a shit.
I've seen the trailer of that movie. It looks awful.
What, Elvis?
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like trash.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an Elvis fan anyway, but like that guy who's playing Elvis doesn't look a fucking thing like Elvis, which makes it worse. Like, dude, you can dye your hair black or have black hair, but you don't look like Elvis. You really don't.
Elvis basically stole a bunch of blues music and made it sound worse.
They all did. Like, but before Elvis, the king of pop was Jerry Lee Lewis. He stole black music. Elvis stole black music. The Beatles stole black music. The Rolling Stones stole black music. Everyone every white dude or white group that you see that everyone's like, yeah, they're the kings of rock and roll. They stole black music to get to where they are.
There was a there was a recording I heard years ago of Elvis singing a cover of I don't remember what song it was, but it was a blues song. It sounded great, and I was like, it's just like, and then you hear Elvis, the popular version of Elvis, and it's just kind of like, that's what they gave people. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you have to understand is that Elvis did have a little bit of soul in his music. Who they had before Elvis was Pat Boone, and he would fucking ruin black music. Like, Little Richard would record a song, and then Pat Boone would take it and do a cover of it, and the shit would sound... It's like, damn, you've got no soul at all. But I'm not going to get into it. The other thing, we've got the Universal's The Black Phone, which I don't know anything about it. Sony is hoping that Where the Crawdads Sing, it's apparently based on a novel. Paramount is going to try to do something animated with an animated remake of Blazing Saddles called Paws of Fury. The only thing I know about it is that it's got Sam Jackson in it as a cat, but he doesn't curse. So I'm not interested in Sam Jackson not cursing.
I'm sorry. I just had the face palm when I heard that. Because, oh god.
I love Blazing Saddles, and I love Sam Jackson, but having Sam Jackson in an animated remake of Blazing Saddles and no cursing just...
It sounds weird, right?
Well, I mean, Sam Jackson is a wordsmith when it comes to cursing. I mean, his cursing is poetry in motion.
Yeah, but it's on top of the fact that it's based off an idea of a bad game in a sense, which
no, Blazing Saddles. It's
I thought
animated.
It was,
no, it's called Paws of Fury.
Paws of Fury.
It's called Paws of Fury, but it's based off of Blazing Saddles, which was it was one of Mel Brooks's greatest parodies. It's a parody of westerns from the 50s, except it was done in the 70s. The screenplay was done by Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor, and it's fucking amazing. It's one of the best films. It's one of the best but it's also a really good western within and of itself. But it has a lot of meta commentary about like racism and what really was going on in the West, and like just really good stuff. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Kevin Hart and Woody Harrelson's The Man from Toronto is going to Netflix. There's Bullet Train looks like it's cool. That's that movie with Brad Pitt as this thief / assassin who just like they've got one last job they've got to do before they're going to retire, and obviously this is going to be the job where shit's going to go south, and it's on a bullet train in Japan. And it looks really cool. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, let me stop screen sharing. So yeah, there's some good stuff coming out this summer, but I mean, some of it, like I said, I don't give a fuck about Top Gun Maverick, and I don't give a fuck about the Elvis movie, mostly because I'm not a huge Elvis fan.
Is that Top Gun Maverick? Is that like a remake or a sequel to Top Gun?
It's a sequel to Top Gun, a movie that came out 35 years ago. Okay? Jeez. A movie that's almost as old as I am. They made a sequel to.
Are they gonna do a rendition of Danger Zone?
Probably.
They're gonna do. Oh, it'll sound terrible. Yeah. By the way.
And they also changed a whole bunch of shit because they didn't want to piss off China, so the bad guys in this movie isn't China.
So they'll if they do a cover of that song, it's gonna be awful. So
no, they got to get Kenny Loggins back. Anyone here ever seen the music video for Danger Zone where Kenny Loggins looks like he's having a really good time in bed when he gets to Danger Zone? Highway to the Danger Zone. Kenny Loggins with his feathered hair and his awesomely, massively well-coiffed beard.
That song was also in The Wizard. Just a 90-minute commercial for Nintendo products.
Yeah, of course it was. But I mean, it was the 80s.
It's interesting because that's how Super Mario 3 was announced.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll say about the 80s. 80s movies, generally speaking, some of them were stupid, but almost all of our 80s movies had really good theme music. And I stand by
You know,
that.
The Wizard was a dumb movie, but it was also kind of a fun movie. I saw it a few years ago.
It's ironically good. Like seeing Lucas pull out his power glove and say, "Is that the power glove?" Yeah, it's so bad. Yeah, because it is a piece of shit. It's totally a piece of shit. Lucas was being perfectly honest with how piece of a shit it was. It's so bad. You're right, Lucas. It is. It is so bad.
And yet somehow he was able to perform on Punch Out.
I could see, if I was the kid around the 80s, the time that movie came out, I could see myself being excited to see it.
Look, man, there was a lot of bad shit in the 80s that we were excited to go see. Like Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie, which was terrible, but we watched it any goddamn way. That shitty Godzilla King Kong Lives movie from the 80s. That movie was terrible, but we watched it anyway because we didn't care. We did not look. There were some great movies that came out in the 80s. There were also some terrible movies that came out in the 80s. And we watched all of them. We didn't care.
We need more like creative announcements like that, where games just get announced in the middle of a movie. Like, screw E3, screw these presentations. You just see somebody playing an unreleased game. It's like, damn, what's that?
We spent $50 million. We spent $80 million. We spent $50 million to make this huge commercial. This 90-minute commercial for one game.
Yeah. Oh,
hell, they spent more to hype up Super Mario Brothers in general with the Super Mario Brothers movie. So, to be honest with you, I think they got a better deal on the Wizard than they did on the Super Mario Brothers movie. Because they actually had good actors in the Super Mario Brothers movie. They had Bob Hoskins, and he was fresh off of some really good shit. Like Bob Hoskins, classically trained actor. This was the same Bob Hoskins who a few years earlier who had done one of the greatest cross-media films of all time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So,
that movie is, that was a great movie.
Yeah, that Who Framed Roger Rabbit still holds up. I know some people are going to be like, Look, that movie holds up, and the book that it's the book that it's based on, the book series, is actually pretty good too. Anyway, so there's some good. Pardon?
Okay.
Pardon?
I was going to say Cool World.
Pardon?
I was going to say Cool World.
What? Cool World? Cool World is terrible. Cool World is a piece of shit. Here's the thing about Cool World. Cool World was supposed to be a rated R Ralph Bakshi hard-edged animated R-rated like sex and violence and trippy images animated film, like an adult animated film. And when I say adult, I don't mean like pornographic, but I mean adult, like dealing with mature themes and like really hardcore stuff. And Kim Basinger, who was the voice actress for Holly, basically didn't want that shit. So she petitioned to have it made into PG-13. And a lot of the grittier material was essentially cut out of it.
Censored?
No, it was cut out of it. It wasn't even censored.
They should have hired a new voice actress then.
It was taken, because the movie wasn't going to get made if it didn't have Kim Basinger in it. That's just how it was. So they went with it and they censored the shit out of it and ruined it completely.
Was she a co-writer or something?
No, it's one of those things where they needed a big name to sell it, and she was the biggest name attached to it. Because it had Brad Pitt in it, but this was before Brad Pitt was Brad Pitt. Like, it had Gabriel Byrne, but it was Gabriel Byrne before he was Gabriel Byrne. It had Brad Pitt before he was Brad Pitt. Like Cool World was a lot, like Cool World, like, seeing the ideas behind Cool World, because it was Ralph Bakshi. And I know a lot of people don't like Ralph Bakshi, but Ralph Bakshi made some really, Ralph Bakshi really helped push adult animation to where, because he basically, everyone likes to say, well, when anime came to America. But before anime came to America, you had Ralph Bakshi making really gritty, hard-edged animation that was like talking about shit. Like he did, like Ralph Bakshi did a cartoon that was a retelling of Brer Rabbit, but instead of it being just a straight up retelling of Brer Rabbit, it would basically dealt with like racism and stuff like that in the South. And it had the voice talent of the animated bear was voiced by Barry White. It had Scatman Crothers as another voice talent. Like it was like a really good film. The title is a little controversial because it uses the N word, but it's a really good film. It really talks about some really important shit, and it's an animated film. I mean, he also did Fritz the Cat. He also did the 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, which just straight up has sex in it. But I mean, can't win them all. But I mean, like I said, Ralph Bakshi arguably did one of the best interpretations of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I would say, animated wise. He did Wizards, which was also really good. Okay, I'm taking off my film nerd hat. Anyway, it's time to get to these hot takes. So, are there any movies that you feel that are universally beloved where you're like, it wasn't that good that you have a hot take on? Like, yeah, this was trash.
Avatar, just because it just with dances with wolves with aliens. Not to mention those visuals don't hold up.
I mean, I would say Avatar isn't even Dances with Wolves, because I like Dances with Wolves. Avatar is a shitty Pocahontas.
Yeah, that's probably more likely.
Hey, it's shitty Pocahontas! Hey, come here, it's shitty Pocahontas! Except I got a hot take for you. Pocahontas looks better than Avatar. Pocahontas' animation. Better. I mean, what I'm saying is the animation is better in Pocahontas because it's classic 2D animation, whereas Avatar looked great at the time, but I guarantee if you looked at it now, it looked like shit.
Go look at some old trailers of Avatar. You'll be like, ugh.
Yeah. Jewel, do you have any
product of its time?
Yeah, Jewel, do you have any hot takes about like universally beloved movies that you're like, this is shit?
The current Spider-Man movies, most people say they're good. I say they're mixed, and if you go into the alternate characters like Miles Morales or Venom, you're gonna see diminishing returns real quick.
Well, I mean, we have to delineate. There's the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. Then there's
the most current ones.
Then there's the bullshit Sony's trying to do, like Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Morbius. That's not really. Those aren't really Spider-Man movies. That's just some shit that Sony's trying to do with the Spider-Man IPs that they have access to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, I mean,
No,
go ahead, Kenosha.
And also, I think Infinity War is better than Endgame.
I gotta disagree. I liked Endgame more than Infinity War.
Like Endgame more than Infinity War?
Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't like seeing the heroes get... Well, because the big thing that bothered me with Endgame is you got to see the weak... You got to find out how shitty the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of these characters are. Because I'm a Marvel comic fan. Like, I have multiple encyclopedias about these characters and groups, like the Fantastic Four Encyclopedia, the Hulk Encyclopedia, and seeing these characters get taken down so easily by Thanos, I'm like, yeah, I don't really like this movie. Like, I know, like, the whole point of Infinity War was to build up how badass Thanos was and to have the villain win at the end, which he did. Of Infinity War, but
there was just some story problems I had with the Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, Endgame was a little bit sloppy in trying to tie everything together, but I mean, and they still kind of fucked up because they did that thing where, we're not going to have the Hulk be we're not going to have the Hulk be really
that powerful.
No, we're not gonna have the Hulk be really.
They diminished his power so much that it's kind of sad.
Yeah, basically is what they did. They like they because like the thing is like okay, so they're like after what wasn't there like a 5-year jump between in Endgame and Infinity War? Infinity War and Endgame. There was supposed to be like a 5-year time jump.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think there was a 5-year time jump. It doesn't make sense that Banner as the Hulk would basically turn into Professor Hulk. It would have made more sense for him to become really depressed and to become Gray Hulk. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, there's a lot of small things that kind of bother me with that. But I mean, you know, I will say this much about Endgame. They did look in Endgame. They defeated the greatest villain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Tony Stark. Tony Stark had to die. He had to die. He had to die. He had to fucking die. It was all his fault anyway. So anyway, so yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they both have their issues. They're not perfect. They're not even like Endgame.
I agree.
Endgame and Infinity. I mean, like, let me put it this way: even the shittiest Marvel movie is still much better than anything that came out of the DCEU under Zack Snyder. So I'll give them that. But those, like Infinity War and Endgame, aren't even my favorite Marvel films. Like, if you put a gun in my head and said, "What are your 3 favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movies?" I would say Civil War, Winter Soldier. I would say Winter Soldier, Civil War, and a tie between Black Panther and Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Like those are like my favorite films in the thing. Like that, like I'm tying it between Black Panther because Black Panther, like on a personal level, I resonate with more, but Shang-Chi had the better villain. So it's like I like both of you better, but I like it because they finally got the Mandarin right in Shang-Chi after they fucked it up in Iron Man. Because we don't want to piss off China. Fuck China. Okay? Yeah, I said it.
I was about to say, you'll get diminishing returns in some places when trying to appeal to a certain market that's not universal.
But anyway, that's my opinion. That's where I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I don't know. I'm out. I don't know. But anyway, any other hot takes about movies where you're like, everyone loves this movie, but I think it's shit? Okay, I guess I'll go. Here's a movie that is universally acclaimed. Actually, a trilogy that's universally acclaimed that I don't think is really that good. The Nolan Batman Trilogy.
The Batman Trilogy, I could at least see where you're coming from because that Batman Trilogy was a mess.
I've seen the little bit of the first one. The second one I think was popular because
Heath Ledger
what's
died.
His name died.
Yeah, Heath Ledger died.
So
yeah.
So I think it got away with more things than it probably would have if he didn't die.
And that third one was. Oh God.
The third one I just heard nothing but.
That third one was terrible.
I haven't even bothered.
Yeah, the third one was terrible. The Batman Begins. Like, the whole point, like, here's what people need to understand about adapting something that is from a book format, okay? And this includes comic books, okay? If you're adapting something from a comic book, the whole point in putting it into a movie is that people who haven't seen the movie should be able to discuss the film because it's based on the source material with people who've seen the movie, and they should be able to have a dialogue about shit. So much of what exists in Batman Begins is just some shit that Christopher Nolan and David Goyer pulled out of their ass. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. The second Nolan film, I mean, I'm going to keep it real. I think they could have dropped Two-Face altogether. Like, it really, the second film should have just been Batman fighting against the Joker. That should have been the whole fucking movie. Like, adding Two-Face was just too much.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. It
Yeah.
was very that made the movie a lot longer than it needed to be. Yeah,
And then
that was all unnecessary.
And then they had diarrhea in the bed with the third Batman movie because they had Bane, and they fucked up.
Yeah.
They fucked that up. They fucked up Bane.
I was about to say it's one thing that they already got Batman screwed up a little bit, but screwing up a major villain, oof.
Well, we've never had Bane done well live action. Like, the closest we've gotten is in Batman and Robin under Schumacher. And the only reason we got close with that one is because Bane was a big roided out motherfucker who was injected with venom. Not like the actual poisonous substance excreted by some creatures. Venom, the in Batman universe, ultra powerful steroid that enhances all of your attributes, including your mental abilities.
Which I'm surprised that was able to do.
Well, in the Batman universe, in the Batman universe, depending on which run, but like basically, Bane is this mercenary from South America who was a prisoner who he was told if you can get out of prison early if you choose to we'll shave time off of your prison sentence if you'll agree to be a human test subject for this experiment. He was being injected with the prototype for Venom. They fucked up because there was a reason Bane was in jail because he was not a good person, and they injected a criminal mercenary with a super steroid that not only makes you physically really fucking strong, but makes you really smart too. To a guy who's already really intelligent.
I was going to make the joke. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? And so basically, he wound up breaking out, let out a lot of criminals, and then became he basically became the underworld's, the criminal underworld's hitman. That was his thing. He became the criminal underworld's you have someone that's causing you problems, I'll come in and take them out. And so the big thing in the comics is that in year one of Batman's reign in Gotham, he takes out all the organized crime. But a lot of those people just go to jail, and they pool their resources and hire Bane to take out Batman.
And Bane does a heck of a job giving Batman a painful reminder of how much he's loved by the criminal enterprise.
Oh yeah, he fucks him up. But the way he does it in the comics is he breaks into Arkham Asylum and he lets out all the inmates. So Batman fights his way into Arkham Asylum, taking on all these crazy inmates, all his rogues gallery. And by the time he gets to Bane, he's out of gas. He's like, look, I'm fucking tired. And he tries his best, but Bane is a roided out freak. The only time Batman has beaten Bane is he fought dirty. Taking off his cowl and taking off his cape and filling it with bricks and beating him in the head with it.
I was going to say, Batman has to fight pretty much at a gangster level in order to get Bane's face, right?
Yeah, he's got to fight dirty because, Bane, okay, let me put it this way. Batman is a character who is trained to the peak of a normal human's physical fitness. Aside from all the wounds he's had from years of vigilante crime fighting. Bane is better than him in every way, shape, or form. In terms of physicality. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. He's more cunning.
Somehow Bane is smarter than Batman.
Yep.
That is some heavily good sheep that Bane's putting into his blood.
Yeah, well, Bane's basically he found the scientists who made Venom and he tortured them and made them give him the recipe. And basically he's been perfecting the formula for years. He got so addicted to it that he quit cold turkey and
Shriveled.
no, he just quit cold turkey. Like, Bane is a very interesting character. It's just he hasn't really been handled well live action. If you want to see a good version of Bane, go watch the animated series, Batman or Batman Beyond. You'll see a really good version of Bane. Aside from that, it just kind of falls apart. But anyway, let's keep it moving. Yeah, that's my hot take. I think the Nolan trilogy is overrated. I think the second film is the best. I think the other two films are kind of shitty. I think Batman Begins is shitty, and I think The Dark Knight Rises is shitty too. I think both of those are terrible. Or sorry, Dark Knight Returns. I think both of those are shitty films. So really, like everyone's always like getting on their knees to polish Christopher Nolan's knob, but I think that when you do a trilogy and only 33% of the trilogy is good, that's still an F, right? Like if you did a paper and only 33% of the paper was good, that's still an F, right?
I have to groan about knowing that the other movies suffered so one could rise.
I mean, think about it. If you guys wrote a paper and they said
I'm
you
not
had to have
denying it. I'm
three
just saying
sections,
that-
and each section is going to be graded. It's going to be 33% of your grade, or an essay. Like you had like your final exam was an essay, had 3 parts, and only two parts were shit, and only one part was good. You still get an F, right?
I'm not denying that. I was about to say that I have a feeling that those two pieces were bad, so one could rise. Or at least
Yeah, I don't even think that third movie is very good. I think they're both.
Yeah.
I think they're both. I think the second movie is good just compared to the other shit. I think they're all kind of terrible. And I know some people are going to get mad at me when they hear that. They're going to be like, "How dare you, sir? You should worship at the altar of." You should worship at the altar of Christopher Nolan. But I think Christopher Nolan's overrated.
I would say that he could do better, but agreed.
I think his best work was done on. I think Christopher Nolan's best work was done earlier on in his career with stuff like Memento.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's my hot take. I said it. I don't care. Let's keep it moving to the final topic, which are terrible foods. I was gonna do great PS1 RPGs, but I think we can save that for Saturday. Terrible foods we ate as kids that we look back on and say hell no to.
For
But
me,
no one here ate Twinkies.
I had
Ho-hos.
Twinkies. I had those, and if anything, they weren't bad to me. But if anything, I kind of moved away from those kinds of snacks a little bit because, well, sometimes you don't need a pure sugar injection.
Yeah, I stay away from stuff like that these days because not for the sugar. It's just like you look at the ingredients list and you're like, I can't believe I used to eat this shit when I was a kid. Now I'm like, I would never put something like that in my body. But back then I was like, I can't believe I ate this shit. This shit is terrible. Kenoshi?
Peeps.
Oh,
Look at
yes.
Peeps. They're great,
Definitely got
disgusting.
rid of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't. Nah.
Yeah, Peeps are terrible. The sad thing about Peeps is that they're just marshmallows and sugar, but they're not even good marshmallows.
Not good marshmallows, and they're not good shit. It's all just terrible. It's all just terrible.
Like, I would rather just go and eat a freaking
At least I'd go after something that has more marshmallow and more flavor to it.
I mean, I would rather, to be honest with you, with if I had to eat something with I'd rather make Rice Krispie treats from scratch or Golden Graham
Yeah.
treats with my own marshmallows that I bought from the store and melt it down, and then
I wonder how you make your own marshmallows.
I mean, you can.
Sounds like work.
Well, it's egg whites and sugar and a little bit of corn syrup and cornstarch
Mm-hmm.
and then flavoring, and then you whip it, and then you put it into a mold, and then you use the cornstarch in order to keep it from sticking, and then you cut it into bits and pieces. It's not going to be like the things, because the things that they make in the store are injected into a mold using technology, and when you're at home, your marshmallows are going to be square, but you can make them like that. Although, like the whole reason that I don't make marshmallows from scratch is because it's much easier just to buy some marshmallows
Yeah.
than to try and make them from scratch. But I mean, the method that you would do to make marshmallows from scratch and to make them buy a good quality marshmallow is functionally the same. It's just they have better technology to make them be formed better. But yeah, I get it. Peeps are terrible. Peeps are absolutely trash. They're trash, Peter.
And this is going to sound weird, especially from somebody that probably is still eating it, which I'm looking at you for this one, Red Fox. Spinach.
Yeah, I still eat spinach.
Yeah, I had it before and got tricked to eating it sometimes, but I never ate that peep stuff again.
I'll be honest with you, canned spinach is terrible, but I just ate it so much when I was a little kid that I just kind of acquired a taste for it. To be honest with you, if you're gonna eat spinach, I would say eat baby spinach or fresh picked spinach and wash it and then braise it. Like there's nothing like some good braised spinach with a little bit of you take a little bit of olive oil and maybe some crushed cloves of garlic and put in there towards the middle of the cooking process and braise it down. And then at the end, take it off the heat and splat it with a little bit of vinegar of your choice, salt and pepper. That's a good side dish. Maybe with a nice side of grilled chicken breast, half a grilled chicken breast. It's actually pretty good. Maybe a nice wild rice pilaf on the side. Like I'm honest. I'm gonna be 100% with you. Canned spinach is terrible, but I like eating it because when I was a kid, that's what I would eat because I watched Popeye the Sailor Man. I mean, if you're gonna eat spinach, don't eat canned spinach. It's terrible. It's already pre-cooked and it tastes terrible. Like most canned vegetables are terrible because they're already pre-cooked in the can. And one of the joys of cooking a vegetable is that you get to choose how you want it to be. And most canned vegetables just don't taste like shit because they were cooked in the can. I'll tell you something else. I'll tell you something that I used to eat as a kid that now I'm just like I can't. When I was a kid, I was a sugar fiend. Like my parents would have to hide candy from me because if I found it, I would eat it all. And now I don't have much of a sweet tooth. Like every once in a while, like once every 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I get a hankering for something sweet, and I'll make a cake or some brownies or something, or I'll make banana bread. The only sweet tooth vice that I still have is occasionally I want a donut, but only like 1 or 2 donuts, like 1 or 2 donuts, and I'm good. My other thing that I kind of, and every once in a while I'll get a Cinnabon from Cinnabon. The other thing that I used to be big on when I was a kid, but now I can't stand them, is really, really, really sweet Southern style tea.
AKA the Southern sweet tea.
Yeah, the sweet tea where first you want to find out who made it, and then once you find out who made it, you're like, they make that shit too sweet. So you pour yourself half a cup, and then you add about and then you add ice. You add like a cup of ice, and then you add a whole bunch of water. Because if you don't, it's gonna be too damn sweet.
I will not deny. Sometimes that stuff really hits you in the sugar spot.
Now, when I was a kid, I used to drink, like my grandparents made sweet tea like that, where my grandmother would get the pre-made tea mix. She would make sweet tea. Then she would add sugar to the damn sweet tea. And I used to drink that shit down. Like I'd come in and I'd fix 2 or 3 cups of sweet tea with ice. Now, ugh, God. Now I only drink unsweet iced tea.
You take it like you take coffee.
No. When I drink coffee, ironically, I make my own creamer, and like I'll fix iced coffee in my fridge because I have one of those big like gallon carafes that you can put in your fridge, and it makes iced coffee. And I'll make iced coffee that like 2-3 times a week during the summer, and I'll pour a glass of iced coffee with ice. And I'll hit it like iced coffee. When you cold brew coffee, the natural sweetness comes out, so you don't really have to add a lot of sugar. But I do make a mildly sweetened vanilla creamer myself, and I'll mix that in there and I'll drink that. But I mean, I prefer to add my own sweetener while I'm there. If it's iced tea, I don't put any sugar in it. I drink it straight up, just with ice and the tea. Because really, I'm after like I want the flavor of the tea. I don't need the sweetness, the sugar. Because I prefer the flavor actually. I need in the hydration. That's how basically how I stay hydrated. I drink a lot of unsweetened iced tea. But yeah. Are there any other childhood foods that you guys used to love and now you're like, hell no, I'm not doing it no longer?
I think I'm all right.
All right, so I guess we can move on to the final topic, which is unpopular opinion. So here we go. Unpopular opinion. Go.
I'm gonna say this right now. As much as I think Elon Musk is a piece of sheep, I honestly am curious of what the heck he's gonna do with Twitter. Though, if anything, my hopes are as high as his likability with his employees.
Well, considering that Tesla lost what $125 billion this week.
Yeah, you can imagine how high that is.
Well, Elon Musk is he's a bit of a shady character. He has apparently he has a bunch of shell companies and stuff like that. So
yeah, everything about Elon Musk screams shady. So I don't really trust anything about him on a personal level. I'm like, I don't trust those hair plugs either he's got. If you don't believe me, look at a picture of Elon Musk from like 15, 20 years ago and Elon Musk now. He has hair plugs.
Okay.
He has hair plugs in his hair. Okay? Because his hair was leaving him and he did some shit in order to not let his hair leave him. So I don't trust Elon Musk. I know some people would be like, but how could you say that?
As I said, I trust him as much as the employees trust him.
Well, I mean, I don't trust the ultra wealthy anyway. Because I mean, typically speaking, it's like that old saying: behind great wealth is a great crime. Typically speaking,
depends on the person, but yeah.
I mean, more often than not, I'd say 75% of the time it's true. I mean, Bill Gates.
So you don't trust politicians.
I don't trust wealthy politicians.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an example, right? Joe Manchin is the Democratic senator from West Virginia. West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the union. Joe Manchin is rich as fuck in one of the poorest states in the union. Like people are like West Virginia has a huge amount of people who are on drugs, people who are on government assistance, people who like if there ever was a state that needs all types of programs to help those people out, West Virginia needs it. But their senator's rich. Seems kind of sus to me. Just saying. Bill Gates is very wealthy for Windows, but Windows became a thing because Microsoft basically cribbed all of the really great
Nope.
code and technology and features from better software, and then locked that software out of the competition. So yeah, that's a crime. You're stealing people's ideas. you know, Google exists because it was able to do non-compete stuff like that. So yeah, behind great wealth is a great crime. I don't trust really, really rich people. Just don't trust them. Don't trust them. Like, what shady shit did you do to get your money? And if you didn't do it, your ancestors did it. Somebody did some shady shit.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. I could be wrong. But anyway, with that being said, that's the end of the that's any other unpopular opinions you guys want to share before we wrap things up?
I think I'm alright.
All right. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we call it a night?
Project Console Tuesdays nights 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Be there, be nowhere.
All right. Jewel, you have nothing you want to pimp out? Okay.
I usually don't.
All right.
I'm usually the one to pimp out you guys.
All right, then I'll end it out. This is Mr. Red Fox, Unpopular BS Busters. I got something I'm going to pimp out. It's not for me. For those of you who didn't get a chance to see Matt Reeves' The Batman, it's on HBO Max. You can watch it. It's HBO Max is $14.99 a month, so you can watch it. You can watch The Batman at your leisure. Plus, there's a lot of other cool shit on HBO Max. You've got a lot of the Adult Swim stuff. You've got a lot of the Criterion stuff, the comedy stuff, a lot of documentaries. Harry Potter, if you like Harry Potter, he's there. A lot of good shit on there. Animated films, adult animation. If you like Batman Beyond, Primal, Batman the Animated Series, The Boondocks, there's all types of good shit on here. So, anyway, just wanted to pimp that out. That's in the cast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and
Hype responsibly, please.
Peace.
Later.
Peace.
And we ended